Hey everyone, it's Sevy. Alongside Raiden's rerun banner, we are also getting Kokomi's rerun, who, for a good while, was the punching bag of the community upon her release and even before. But now that she's been out for about 5 months, we've had time to ride that Kokopium high and appreciate what she has to offer. In this video, I'm going to discuss what makes Kokomi worth pulling and what you can expect from her. Let's get started. First of all, is Kokomi really just an over-healer? Certainly not. If we look at her kit, Kokomi's main role is a Hydro Enabler / tank healer. Yes, she heals a lot thanks to her on-field jellyfish healing and team-wide burst healing, plus access to heal-improving weapons like Prototype Amber or Everlasting Moonglow. Yes, she's a monstrous tank thanks to a naturally high HP build whose heals won't let her and your team die. In fact, Kokomi mains, myself included, would rank her as a top comfort character alongside Zhongli. But what you also get is a character whose entire kit is geared to apply Hydro consistently. Kokomi was initially made fun of for not being able to crit, effectively giving her a very low damage ceiling. But does that make her a worthless unit? It's easy to obsess over a character's personal damage or damage per screenshot numbers and forget that Genshin is also about team synergy, enabling reactions, and damage over time, leading to those who unfortunately focused on the wrong aspect of Kokomi. Where Hydro characters are rare, Kokomi stands, or swims, or walks on water as a great Hydro enabler for freeze and electrocharge teams in particular. Her jellyfish applies Hydro and is able to achieve 100% uptime if used correctly. Her on-field time lets her normal attacks drive other elements to react with Hydro too. She received a damage upgrade via her 4-piece signature artifact, the Ocean-Hued Clam set, but despite that, her fundamental utilities were never useless to begin with. And when it comes to her gameplay, she's very easy to use, not requiring you to have to learn complicated dashing or cancelling mechanics. At the very least, you ought to be conscious of managing the jellyfish uptime, which is achieved by proper rotation timing of her skill and burst, since the burst is what refreshes the jellyfish's duration. The most complex thing would probably be animation cancelling her normal attacks, which isn't essential by any means. Having one character consolidate the purposes of Hydro application plus tanky healer allows for strange, new, but meta-viable teams. It's what gives her value and versatility. Her contribution to your team's DPS isn't through her raw damage, but rather through her enabling or driving your team's reactions. So what teams in particular make Kokomi shine? First, she's awesome in freeze teams, which help with crowd control and positioning. Pair her with a cryo unit or two and you're all set. Because of her jellyfish's wider AoE, Kokomi works great as a Mona substitute for the Morgana or Mona Ganyu Diona Venti team and can also pair well with Freeze Ayaka. Second, Kokomi excels in taser teams and is an extremely comfortable and tanky driver for an otherwise squishy team. Taser teams with teammates such as Sucrose, Fischl, Yae, Beidou, or even Xingqiu are great against enemy mobs. I especially like taser teams since they're very accessible with 4-star units. Third, having Kokomi unlocks the Sukokomon team in which she is an indispensable member of. The Sukokomon team has a learning curve when it comes to execution, but only needs Kokomi and 3 4-star units and is a very fun team to use. Vape teams aren't as used with Kokomi though, since it's inconsistent and difficult to manage who vapes what. It's technically doable, but it's more unreliable as compared to the dynamics of a freeze or electrocharge team. With the exception of Sukokomon, Kokomi's teams aren't necessarily built around her as much as she's a solid alternative for other characters. She can't do insane Hydro quadratic scaling damage like Child or strong off-field damage like Xingqiu, but she keeps your team comfortably alive and tanks the field. She doesn't have Mona's Omen buff for those sweet damage per screenshot numbers, but Kokomi's jellyfish has wider AoE and potential 100% uptime, which is just as valuable, if not more so, in freeze teams. Barbara is always free, but Kokomi's kit is obviously a big upgrade in every aspect compared to her. And if we look at the state of the Hydro roster now, we have 5 characters available counting Kokomi. If you're a newish player who hasn't had time to collect many Hydro characters save for the free Barbara, adding a Kokomi to your roster may be a good idea for access to Hydro-enabled teams as mentioned before. However, Ayato is presumably being added to this roster very soon, and the prospect of having another Hydro applier is very tempting. So it's understandable if you're skipping Kokomi for him, and maybe you can wait till the 2.6 special program to learn about his details if you're on the fence. Now let's talk about what it's like to invest in Kokomi. Building Kokomi is relatively easier to do as compared to conventional DPS characters. For one, her best free-to-play and beginner weapon choices are Prototype Amber, which is craftable, and Thrilling Tales, which we naturally get lots of copies of from Wishing. These are arguably much better value than even her signature weapon, the 5-star Moonglow, which I absolutely don't recommend as worth the primos unless you're simping hard. And if you want the most aesthetic weapon, it's also free from the 2.5 Enkanomiya event. Then when it comes to artifacts, you now have someone to dump the HP rolls on. Those HP stats that were previously copium before are now very welcome. Weirdly though, from my experience, when I started farming for Kokomi pieces, I started getting crit stats more. It's like Hoyoverse knows. But while she gets a damage upgrade with her Ocean-Hued Clam set and a buffer upgrade with 4-piece Tenacity, she also has 2-piece combo builds available anyway. Farming a 4-piece set can be a long-term goal, but 2-piece or rainbow artifacts will suffice. She also isn't dependent on her constellations. She's absolutely great at C0, and I don't think anything is locked behind her constellations. They amplify her damage, healing, and energy regeneration respectively, but if built properly, she doesn't need any of those at C0. So what is Kokomi's place as Genshin moves forward? First, when it comes to the comfort she provides, that is more subject to player preferences and wants. Giving your team survivability as you explore Tevat, tanking boss attacks in the face, and so can have a different meaning for players who are after a more casual or relaxing experience. But in my opinion, simply pinning her down as a comfort character doesn't do her justice. Because when it comes to teams and meta, Kokomi already has a valuable contribution. Kokomi will remain a reliable staple for freeze and taser teams thanks to her very good Hydro application utility. That kind of uptime for reactions thanks to her own Hydro application uptime shouldn't be undervalued. There are other Hydro units, albeit limited, and there will be more Hydro units added in the future. But right now, no one consolidates the Hydro applier and tank healer role like Kokomi. Yes, not even Barbara can do it as well as she can. And because Kokomi frees up other slots from those functions, there can still be room for growth and flexibility for teams composed of Kokomi plus 3 others in the future. Especially when new Cryo and Electro characters come out, it'll now be a regular habit to check just how well they synergize with Kokomi. Could there be new weird teams like the Sukokomon team in the future that are exclusive to Kokomi? It depends on what new characters we get that could synergize in a Kokomi team. It's possible, but until then, I certainly think she's already relevant enough in many aspects to be a worthy pull. So what do you think? Is Kokomi worth it, or just a load of Kokopium? If you're planning on pulling her or have something to share with other Kokomi wanters, leave it below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing to my channel for more Genshin Impact guides and content, and I will see you soon. Take care!